Hey everyone, DarkDragoon here with episode 7 of my FTB Modpack Let's Play. So we're just logging in here, and I actually spent a little bit of time between recordings on my YouTube channel responding to some comments that people left. And there was one comment in particular I wanted to address on camera. Bill 1970s asked me to do some stuff with thermal expansion, and interestingly enough, he hit on the exact thing I was planning on doing this whole time that I didn't say anything about. It turns out the whole reason why I wanted to get some buildcraft power going is exactly to get into some of the cool thermal expansion machines. So now that you all know that's my reason, I want to turn attention back away from the insanity that was last episode to what we were originally doing, getting our peat bog going, so that we can get some buildcraft power going so that we can do thermal expansion stuff, because I know there's been some voice asking for it, so I live to serve. So to get that going, pretty much what we're going to need to do is get this peat bog finished, and we're going to get it fully automated here. It shouldn't take too much time, but yeah. So let me get the stuff together to sort of get into that, and I'll be back. Alright, I'm back, and so I've been thinking about how I can better automate my peat bog without red power, and I have an idea. And guess what? It involves thermal expansion. So it also involves a little bit of forestry. So we're going to get started by, first of all, making what looks to be a really complicated machine called the aqueous accumulator. So why don't I go ahead and start getting the stuff together for this. Let's see, we're going to need some iron, some gold, some redstone, it looks like, and glass, and we need tin as well. So look, I think we're going to have all the materials we need for this, luckily. So tin, gold, iron. We also needed redstone and glass, which is there. Cool. Alright. So, aqueous accumulator. Let's get started one piece at a time. We'll start with the machine frame. So, doesn't look too complicated. Looks like tin in the corners. Actually, no, that was iron in the corners. Hard to tell from the sort of weird silhouette. Okay, machine frame. And we're also going to need a pneumatic servo, which that is also iron. Glass around a redstone. Cool. And now we can make this thing. Oh, we're also going to need a bucket, which is simple enough. It's just, actually, I think we can make buckets out of tin as well. Yes, we have more tin, so we might as well use it. So we'll do that. And we have an aqueous accumulator. Now, there's one other thing I want to make before we go ahead and throw that down, and that is, I want to see if we can make a bottler, which looks like we can quite easily. We're just going to need to make us a sturdy casing, which, if you recall, is used by, you make it with bronze, which is made like this. There we go. Okay, so we've got that. We'll put cans in the corner, glass along the sides, and we have a bottler. Now, we're also going to need an engine to run this, but I think what we'll do is we can just steal one of the Stirling engines off of our machines over here. So, the accumulator. Holy cow. Forgive the pun. Cows. Okay. Anyway, that's not what we were doing. So, you can see this gives us a pretty decent amount of room to work with, and I'm going to actually make sure that we're not right up against that, because I actually kind of want to outline this with some stone or something. But so, we've been trying to figure out, okay, how can we get water cans without, you know, without red power? Because the nice thing about red power is we could set up an infinite water source and use a deployer with cans in it to keep ourselves supplied with cans. Well, we can also do that with a couple of the machines we just made. So, first of all, we'll toss down the accumulator, the aqueous accumulator. Now, this machine, you can see it looks pretty strange. It's got, the only thing it's got in it is obviously the water tank, and the water tank seems to be colored orange. Now, you'll also notice the configuration over here. I can change these weird dots. On other thermal expansion machines, there are different, obviously you can change the colors to a couple other different ones. Obviously, since this one only has an orange slot, it only has orange symbols. Basically, what this means is orange is pretty much going to be our output on this machine. So you can see right now the machine is able to output its water on any of these sides. I believe it's also able to output on the bottom. Let's take a look real quick. Yes. So we can change that from our menu here. So what we're going to do is this aqueous accumulator, basically it doesn't need energy. It'll just slowly accumulate water from the atmosphere and its surroundings. So what we're going to do is we're going to slam a bottler down right next to it. And because the bottler is attached to one of its output sides, you'll notice the water's gone. Well, it's going into the bottler. So simply enough, if we put cans in here, I think we need to give the bottler power, of course, but once we give it some power, it will start bottling up our water for us, which is really cool because this way we can supply fresh water to this to make our bog earth. So we're gonna need one other thing that I forgot to pull from inside the house is we're gonna need a transport pipe and we're gonna need a redstone engine. So I'll go ahead and grab the stuff to make that. It's pretty easy. We've made it plenty of times now. So get our piston first. Nope. Iron, please. Piston. Two of those. Piece of glass and our redstone. That will give us our engine. Like I said, we're just going to steal one of the Stirling engines to get this thing started. Once this whole system is going, it should be pretty self-sustaining, as I'll replace a lot of these engines with peat-fired engines. But obviously for now, our sort of main goal here is just to get it working. I also want to have a redstone torch here to run the redstone engine with. So we'll just put that there, put that there, take our wooden transport pipe, put it there. And that should, once we get power running to this, which will steal this Stirling engine for just a second. Kind of wondering if there's a better place for this, but I don't really like the way I've got this going right now. Yeah, trying to figure this out while I'm on camera is kind of difficult. Let me take a minute to figure out what I'm doing and I'll be back. Okay, I think I've got myself situated. Let's turn this on and start trying to pump out some of these water cans. There we go. You can see it running. It's not super fast at the moment, but when the engine gets up to full speed, it'll be fine. Just take it a second. Okay, and that should pump out. There we go. And it goes right into our chest. Cool. So yeah, so now all we need to do is keep this bottler here supplied with cans, and we're fine. Just for the sake of aesthetics, we'll go ahead and turn off all these other sides. You can see now there's no orange output. The only place it's outputting is straight into this bottler, which is going to basically just keep on pumping out cans of water for us. So yeah, so literally all we need to do is keep cans in here, keep sand and dirt in here, and yeah, that's it. It's pretty automated. You can even go ahead, and since this should start pumping out, being able to pump out some bog earth and getting that sent that way. yeah. Like I said, I'm probably going to replace these Stirling engines with different engines, probably peat fired. I like to use the peat fired on the peat bog as it gets pretty self-sustaining. The bog definitely uses far less peat than it needs, than it produces. So, all right, this is getting a little bit out of control. So I'm gonna go on a cow culling here, cull the herd a little bit. Even the baby cow wants back in. I don't want to say holy cow. I keep being tempted to say it, but I'm really trying not to. Alright. Literally, we're just gonna kill off the parents. I accidentally killed a baby. My bad. Because we have a good number of cows in here. Jeez. Some kind of cow plague. Alright, you know what? I'm just killing all the adults. Okay. Yeah, I am not refilling that when it's... Why do they keep going up? I guess they're climbing up on top of each other. I don't know, I might have to make that a one higher than it is at the moment. So, we were doing something. I think it had to do with the peat bog. So, yeah. So this done, why don't we go ahead and I'll go ahead and show you. We'll knock this off of here. And I will show you the other half of this whole thing. I think I need another... Yeah, I need another chest. That way we have some place to store the peat that we're going to be producing. Shouldn't be too difficult. Simple chest should do the trick. We also might as well go ahead and get ourselves some transport pipes, as we're going to start to need them as we're sort of moving forward here. So I'll go ahead and make those. Let's go ahead and make 2 sets of those, just in case we need them. Might as well grab our excess wooden transport pipes. Head over here. Basically, we just need to set up a system so that when the turbary pulls stuff out, it'll have some place to go. So yeah, we'll just do that, and that should work for now. Let's throw a piece of coal coke in there and start it up. And it should start, we should start to see peat coming out of the top of this here. Takes a minute. Let's check on our bottler and okay, it's working. It doesn't need to really produce too quickly because this whole machine runs pretty slow. Yep, there we go. We are now producing peat. As you can see over there, it's removing the bog earth and replacing it with dirt. And for some reason we have bog earth flying out at us. Doesn't really like to take bog earth in that top slot very well. Sometimes it'll not understand what it's doing and freak out a little bit, but that's okay. So yeah, so this whole system is, I mean, it's not a fast machine. Obviously, this aqueous accumulator runs, like I said, really slowly, and you need a decent amount of water before you'll get a can, but it's automatic. It's exactly what we want it to do. It's not perfect. There's still a lot of stuff we can do to expand on this, and obviously there's a lot of places we need to expand. But as far as what our stated goal was, we've succeeded. We are now automatically keeping this supplied with bog earth so that the machine will keep going. Obviously, since we don't have an engine on here, it's not going to replant the bog earth that's landing in here, but it definitely will. Once we get another engine on here. So now that we have some peat flowing in there, why don't we go ahead and do that? We'll go ahead and make our first peat-fired engine, It's not too difficult. It's going to be put together very similarly to all of our other engines that we've been making, just with a couple different materials. So let's take a look at it. Peat-fired engine. So yeah, it's pretty much everything we've been making except with copper, and interestingly enough, it's pretty much the exact same recipe as the steam engines over here, except it just wants a piece of glass instead of that weird redstone coil thing. So it's simple. So why don't we go ahead and get some of those made. Those aren't too bad. 2 of those. I believe we have to surround them with cobble before we can surround them with copper. Yep. And we're going to need another one of these pistons, of course. Just like so. And there we go. Peat-fired engine. Now, we're definitely going to make more of these. I'm thinking we're going to make quite a few more of these. Because again, the goal of this was to be able to start getting into some other thermal expansion machines which do require buildcraft power. But you can see this ran pretty quickly. And of course it's going to not adjust itself properly, so I've got to go run all the way back to get my wrench. Let's grab that out of the chest here. There it is. Just uses the buildcraft wrench, even though it is a forestry machine. Now, the other thing we could do, if we wanted, we could just set up basically a bank of these engines and then run buildcraft power pipes to all the various things that we need power for. And that might be something to consider later on. But for now, we'll just leave it as is. So let's put our peat in here and it'll start running. And that should start planting our peat, our bog earth, back in again. It should be doing it here in a second. Just make sure it's doing it before we head back inside, because it's turning night. Come on. Come on. There it goes. Yeah. So it's working. Fully automated. Like I said, there's always things we can do sort of later on to sort of boost this and make it a little more, make it a little more efficient, but that's cool. You'll notice that the turbary, the peat bog also is pumping out dirt back through this line. I'm not sure. Let's see if we can make it maybe go not out that way. I don't know if we can. Yeah, it doesn't look like it. It's just making our peat go that way, and we don't want it to. I don't know how I feel about that, because it's going to get clogged up here with dirt. We'll have to see if we can't figure out a way to make it stop doing that. Maybe if we... Okay, it's just because it's going in, it's basically attached to the side, it looks like. So we can actually probably fix that like this. Don't know if it's going to go into here. Stop it. If it's going to go into there, but actually what we could do is this, just to be sure. There we go. Now it's going to... Why is it... What? Okay, that's weird. We'll figure it out later. I don't know why it's doing that. It's just being strange. Like I said, I don't really like the dirt pumping out of the wooden transport pipe. Do we have... That is an interesting question. We'll take a look at that as soon as the morning comes. Because if we have the advanced wooden... I don't know if that's in here. Okay, it isn't. So... Yeah, I'm really not sure what to do about that. Maybe I'll have to do some research and try to figure out how we can get around it doing that. But long story short, this system, like I said, is pretty much doing what we need it to. And you can see it's already replanted the entire peat bog. And we're almost out of cans. We're obviously going to run out of cans pretty quickly. So, whoop. Maybe we can pull this stuff out here. I'm hoping that it won't do that anymore. Obviously it doesn't have the sand to keep working, so eventually this is gonna run out of bog earth. But yeah, like I said, the system is pretty much working as intended. So yeah. Alright, since we got that completely working, and now that we've got pretty decent production of peat, I'm going to clip the video here and sort of figure out what our next step is. I'll be back. Okay, so I'm back. I've been away for a little while now as I've been expanding out my basement here. I've been doing a lot of thinking about exactly what I want to do as far as my buildcraft power generation goes. And at first I was thinking just making like a mess of peat fired engine and just sort of line them up and have them generate into you know, a single line. But I've decided to do something a little different and go with Railcraft, because the most recent sort of release of Railcraft added steam engines and boilers into the game. So what I'm thinking I want to do is I'll probably start with just one boiler, but I kind of like the image of a couple boilers set up down here. They're kind of dangerous, but they're also really cool, and they do work off peat. So all my work to get my peat bog going there is not all for naught. It might be worthwhile maybe later down the road, the more steam boilers I've got going down here, maybe I'll have a couple more of these peat farms going. But right now I'm thinking definitely sort of aiming high and going for the boilers. Now, there's a couple different boilers you can make. You can make low pressure boilers and high pressure boilers. I think I'm going to go ahead and just skip the low pressure boiler entirely, excuse me. Mostly because I've already got a blast furnace here with steel in production. So the low pressure boilers basically just use the iron plates, just like the tanks do. But the high pressure boilers use steel. And obviously, like I said, I have the steel. I might as well use it. So while those are going, I'm going to have to pull that out as that's running. So just arbitrarily, I'm just hurling things to the ground. That's not what I meant to do. Okay, there we go. Yeah. So while that's going, what I'll do is I'll go upstairs and I'll show you guys, first of all, how to make your... The boiler basically is set up just like all the other Railcraft machines you've been seeing me play around with, but they work a little bit different because I need two different kinds of blocks. And the first thing we're going to need is we're going to need 9 of these solid fueled fireboxes. These are basically the base of our machine, and that is essentially where we put our fuel and what creates the heat for the boiler. So like I said, we're going to need 9 of these at least. This is another machine that can be a variable size, but I think I'm going to go with a 3x3 just for now. Obviously, the bigger the boiler, the more efficient it's going to be. So, that said, I'm going to need quite a few things here. I have the bricks I need. I'm going to need 9 of these fire charges. I hope I have enough of this stuff. Let's take a look. Okay, we don't have quite enough of that. We have enough gunpowder, that is good. And we have enough of these to be able to get enough blaze powder. So I actually think we're going to be able to do this without having to run around creation trying to find everything we need. We just need to macerate us some blaze rods. Oh, apparently I've got some gold dust sitting in here. Yeah. Actually, there was a particular reason. I can't remember if I can I do this? Yeah. There was a reason why I had this stuff sitting here, mostly because I wanted to create electrum. Not for any particular reason right this second, but for the future, just so that you guys know, if you combine gold dust with silver dust, you get electrum. So, okay. So we should have enough blaze powder. That's going to be enough. So let's go ahead and make our fire charges. They're Going to be one of each of gunpowder, coal, and blaze powder. Oh, actually, we don't even need all that much. So we've got our charges. Let me throw my leftover blaze powder back in there. So now we just need 9 furnaces, which don't have the cobble on us. Was putting a lot of cobble in here earlier. Did we have a spare furnace sitting somewhere? I want to say we did. We do. So we'll just make 8 more of those. So much clicking. That'll do. Cool. So now we just go you there, and then we start putting our bricks around. Obviously it doesn't matter. There we go. Solid fueled firebox. There's also liquid fueled firebox, but since we don't really have any liquid fuel generation going right now, and we do have the peat, we're going to use the solid fuel. Okay. So the other thing we're going to need is we're going to take these steel plates, and I'm going to have to remember how to do these. Here we go, high pressure boiler. Oh, okay, it's just 2 steel plates per. So, yeah, there we go. We're going to need quite a few of these. Quite a few more than that. Unfortunately, we might not have enough steel to quite get this going yet. No, there's no way we've got enough steel plates to get this going yet. You can see it takes quite a bit of resources, and we don't have that much steel yet. Can we just... that'll work. But I'll go ahead and show you at the very least sort of how this gets started. I think we're going to do the boiler. I think we're going to start it right underneath here. So we're going to grab these things, our solid fuel boxes. We're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. You can see there's the base of our boiler. And then from there it pretty much just is built up. Now that's not going to be enough. I'm pretty sure it needs at least 1 more, it might need 2 more levels of the steel blocks. But you can see the basics for how it works. And I'm going to basically probably clip it here as I spend some time just collecting and producing steel. But once we get this filled out, just like we did with the blast furnace and the coal coke oven, once it gets done, it's going to basically meld together into one machine, which will produce steam. And it'll be really cool because we can then use that steam in railcraft steam engines, which are different from the other steam engines we were using. Here we go. These are the railcraft steam engines. You can see there's also steam turbine housing, which is a cool way to use your railcraft steam boiler to create industrial craft power, which is cool. But we're pretty much going to be using this to make build craft power. So we're probably going to start with commercial steam engines because, again, this is a lot of steam, a lot of steel required here. So whereas this just requires iron. But this will be basically what we're going to use to create our industrial craft power for our thermal expansion stuff. I think that'll be really cool once we get it going. So yeah, so let me be right back and see what we've got to do here. Alright, I wanted to go ahead and show you guys that apparently this is the minimum, a 3x3 block. I definitely do plan on making it 1 block higher, but the steel is still working. But I want to go ahead and show you basically how this works. You put your fuel in here, and here's basically some holdover spots. So you put fuel here, and it'll go here, and this is where it starts cooking. It needs water. You have to be very careful because if you run out of water, this boiler will explode. So you have to keep water pumped in here. So basically, we'll take your fuel, burn it with your water to make steam. And then you can pipe steam out just like you can water using golden waterproof pipes. So it's pretty cool. I think it's going to be a neat way to produce a lot of industrial craft power. Who knows? I might even use it to produce sorry, not blah. Said that backwards. It's a good way to produce buildcraft power, and I might end up using it to produce industrial craft power sometime down the road. So I think it'll be cool. Um, so yeah, unfortunately, I think we're at about that 30-minute mark. So this is where we're going to have to call it. I'm going to have to show you guys sort of this thing in action next episode. So look forward to that. I'm not sure what else I'm going to get into, but hopefully I'll figure out something. So until then, this has been episode 7 of DarkDragoon's Feed the Beast Mod Pack Let's Play. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Have a good one.